So Mr. Jackson usually does the videos on Meet the People Who Work in MEI Middle, but he's not here today, so I get the opportunity to interview Mia Fawcett and to let her introduce herself a little bit to us. We love having her here, and we're just going to ask her some random questions. So, Mia, Mrs. Fawcett. Oh, yes, she could do this all in French, but we won't make her do that for you. Tell us a little bit about the family that you grew up in.
Well, I grew up in a very lively family. We have 6 kids, so I have 5 siblings, and we're all pretty close in age except for my youngest brother Malachi, who some of you might know, who was in grade 8 last year, plays basketball. So growing up, there was lots of playing outside, lots of running, lots of fighting sometimes, but also lots of love and lots of laughing, and yeah, just a very big, loud family.
Do you have like a family holiday or adventure that you've done that stands out to you?
Well, when I was in grade 7, we went to Thailand as a whole family.
Wow.
So we went to visit Mrs. Willette, who some of you have or had in grade 6, and her family. And we all went on the airplane, so you can imagine, with 6 kids. And my youngest brother, Malachi, was only 2 or 3, probably 2, because the whole time on the airplane he kept just saying, "Tractor." And my mom was just, we're all a little embarrassed, but my mom was just afraid she was going to lose one of us in the airport at some point.
Oh my goodness.
It was really fun.
And are people aware that you're Mrs. Willette's niece?
Yes, Mrs. Willette is my aunt. Some of you know, not all of you know.
Yeah, fun. Okay, now you're a married lady now. Can you tell us a little bit about your husband and stories about that?
Yes, so my husband is named Andrew, and he moved to Abbotsford to work at the Mark Center, which is a retreat center, a Christian retreat center in Abbotsford. It's right by Fish Trap Creek, if anyone lives close to there. And my parents actually started that place as a place for people to kind of learn how to listen to God. And so he came to work there as the handyman. So I met him there when he was working on something, and then we started dating, and then we got married. One story about that is we went on a trip to his family cabin, and then he surprised me with a hot air balloon ride on the way.
Oh,
and
cool.
he proposed to me in a hot air balloon ride above Kelowna.
Oh,
So,
nice. And
yeah.
of course you said yes. So
Yes,
that's
I
probably one
said
of the most
yes.
unique proposals I've heard of. Very cool.
Yeah.
It sounds like you've traveled a bit in your life. Where's one of the most interesting places that you've been to?
I'd say Nepal was one of my favorite places, and I really, really loved the people there and kind of the lifestyle, which is a lot more peaceful, I'd say, a lot slower, a lot of time outside, a lot of time, when I was there, I spent a lot of time hiking to different villages and just spending time with people, sitting around outside, drinking tea, talking, and yeah, it just felt very peaceful, and I really loved the people there. So
You're definitely a person who exudes peace. Like there's just always this calmness about you. So I love that about you. If you could travel anywhere in the world now, where would you like to go?
I would like to go to South America and Central America. So I'd like to go to Costa Rica, I think, or anywhere that I could visit rainforests or just see really cool animals and nature. So
I'm going to throw in a question that I didn't give you advance. How did you get interested in studying French?
French, I had the choice. My mom gave me the option in grade 5 if I wanted to do French immersion or not, and I decided just to give it a try to see if I liked it, and then at that point I just continued on.
Cool. And now it's giving you an employment.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about your faith journey.
I think my faith journey has really been about a relationship with God. That's kind of been the core part of it. Growing up, my parents always kind of modeled to me relationship with God is about praying, but also about listening and kind of trying to be in a relationship with God where you are asking for things, but you're also listening and trying to be in a relationship that's two ways kind of thing. And so when I was younger, I really struggled with the idea that God would want to be in relationship with me, because I think, thinking back to last week's chapel with those messages that we carry and how they kind of are baggage for us, I kind of had that message that people wouldn't want to spend time with me or accept me for who I am. And so I had also kind of started to believe that about God earlier on in my faith journey, when I was, I'd say as early as like 5 and 6, that was already kind of there for me. And so my faith journey has been kind of a beautiful transformation of God kind of breaking into that belief that I had that he wouldn't love me or wouldn't accept me, and God kind of speaking to me that, no, I do love you, I do accept you just the way you are, and I want to be in relationship with you. And so since then it's been continual, just really being really touched by God's care for me and love for me.
And so you talk about your parents as being a listening center. And how can you, or can you give us an example of when you heard from God?
Yeah, to kind of continue on that part of my life and that story of little Mia kind of thinking that God wouldn't want to be in a relationship with me, wouldn't want to speak to me. Anytime we kind of had an activity of it's time to pray or listen to God, I kind of felt a bit of a wall up that I was like, no, I don't want to try because I'm just going to be disappointed. I know God won't speak to me. And one time I was kind of in that place. My mind was kind of telling me things like, God doesn't care about you, he won't speak to you. And then suddenly just these words came, let me love you. And it was just like, I knew it was from God because it was so different than the words that I was kind of telling myself in my head, and it was very quiet and calm all around it, in my body and in my heart as I just felt those words. And so then I kind of realized at that point that maybe God did want to love me, but I was the one who was not really letting God love me, because I had been carrying these kind of messages that I'd received, or these words or beliefs that weren't true, and I had been kind of pushing God away in a sense. So then at that point, it was a start of a transformation for me to start letting God love me and kind of receiving love from God. So
I think there's a message for all of us here in this too, is learning to have quiet times. Often we have too much noise around us that we don't have time for God to speak to us. Last question I want to ask you is, what is God teaching you these days, if you want to share that?
Yeah, I think today it's also been kind of related to that whole journey for me. And the theme for me lately has really been to trust my my spirit, or trust God, like the Holy Spirit within me kind of thing, and learning how to really know and hear the guidance that God is kind of always providing or offering to me from within, and just knowing that God did create me intentionally the way I am, with a special way of knowing and seeing the world, and to trust that that is needed, and that I am needed as I am, kind of thing. So learning to trust who God made me to be, essentially.
Well, know that you're needed here at MEI Middle. We love having you here. So there we go. We got to know a little bit more about Mrs. Fawcett. Thank you for telling your story and for being one of our great team of teachers here.
Thank you.
All righty.
Esther.
You're welcome.
Au revoir.